Welcome in, whiskey freaks, to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your number one attitudinal bourbon destination. I'm John Stark, your host, and I'm going to be bringing you candid whiskey news, opinions, and reviews. We're going to talk about the industry and the products they've been bringing us for hundreds of years. Today, I've got something special planned. Today, we're going to burn some Bibles. We're going to kick some puppies, and we're going to steal candy from a baby, a crying baby. Yeah, no, we are not doing any of that today. But after I hit y'all with what I have for my idea with Booker's, you might want us to do that instead, really. Today, I'm going to lay out in great detail why Booker's bourbon has just got to go. We've got to put Booker's, the beloved concoction started by Booker No himself. We got to put it out of its misery, guys. Send it out to pasture with dignity. Look, if you're being honest, Booker's has reached that stage in life. Guys, it's not dying, but it's definitely forgetting your name at Thanksgiving. And I've mentioned this before. Hey, don't come at me, bro. I've got reasons, legit reasons and ideas, and I think we might still be friends at the end of this episode if you just hear me out on this. And listen, I know times are tough in the bourbon world right now. Production's way up, demand is way down. But I do this podcast because I love all of it. And to question this long-standing brand or idea or the way they're doing something at a distillery, and I'm going to question all of it here. That's just what I do. I'm not trying to be sharp or nasty or condescending. So today we talk about why it's time to retire Booker's bourbon. And to prove I have an open mind, guys, I'm going to do a tasting and review. I just picked up this bottle. The latest Booker's offering that you can pick up at the store, Jerry's Batch 2025-03. And we're kind of doing shit ass backwards today. I'm gonna crack this bottle open, I'm gonna taste it, and then I'm gonna hit you with my idea, my obviously controversial idea to get rid of Booker's. And let me tell y'all, okay, a lot of y'all sent me some nasty notes about what I feel about Booker's. We had this conversation on socials several weeks ago, and then I did an episode where I just mentioned we might want to get rid of Booker's, right? Nastiness. But understand this, guys. I love Jim Beam. I love what they do there. I've been down to the distillery many times, and I really respect these guys and what they do. They stand tall and proud, and they don't give into a lot of what I'll call noise in the world or the whiskey industry. And quite frankly, I know they're not going to give two shits what I think about Booker's, but I think they probably should. But I'd be remiss, and for those of you with infinity bottles, what that means is I'd be careless or negligent. So I'd be remiss if I didn't get y'all up to date on some of the biggest whiskey news that's going on right now. So let's get into some news first, and then we're going to taste, review, and talk about Booker's Jerry's Batch. Well, Buffalo Trace, they just released a 125 proof Sazerac Rye, and they're calling it the foolproof edition. It's going to retail for the low price of $40. I know, right? This new release joins their permanent Sazerac Rye lineup, and it's out right now. The foolproof version, according to them, follows Buffalo Trace's $1.2 billion expansion, which added new stills, fermenters, and warehouses. And that expansion allows the distillery to increase their production and support higher proof releases across its brands. This is evidence of that. $40. They say Sazerac Rye Foolproof keeps the classic profile of Saz, known for its peppery, floral, and citrus notes, but at a higher proof for a richer, more concentrated flavor. A lot of folks are calling this like Thomas Handy's brother or cousin. I don't know. On the nose, I'm not a millionaire, so I don't have Thomas Handy here at the house. On the nose, they say expect toasted oak, rye grain, and subtle dill. The palate delivers caramel, orange peel, herbal spice, and a warming finish. The mouthfeel is full, but still approachable. Now, Harlan Wheatley, he's the master distiller there at Buffalo Trace. He says that barrels are hand-selected from the same warehouses used for other Saz Rye expressions. And while there's no age statement, the process is handled with the same care as the core lineup. Well, okay, yeah. Foolproof Saz Rye will roll out nationwide, and it actually is out right now. And it'll be available through select retailers, bars, and restaurants for, like I said, $40 for a 750 milliliter bottle. So it's foolproof. And y'all, okay, some of y'all are saying, what exactly does foolproof mean? And you're right. We got barrel strength, we got cask strength, and now here comes foolproof, right? So real quick, we're going to learn something today, kids. And I'm not being arrogant here, Vlad. Remember Vlad? Remember that creep, that son of a... Anyway, I'm not being hateful here, guys. Look, I'm learning along the way with y'all. Promise I'm not being arrogant. In the context of Buffalo Trace's Saz Rye Foolproof, I want to talk about foolproof. And foolproof isn't just marketing bullshit. It's a very specific term with a practical meaning. And here's the breakdown. Foolproof means it's bottled at the barrel strength that they consider ideal for that expression. Each whiskey is aged in barrels, and not every barrel tastes the same. We know that. And distilleries often taste and blend the barrels to hit a target proof to hit their standard releases, like the 90 proof or the 100 proof, whether you're looking at Buffalo Trace or if you're looking at, well, typically Saz, right, at 100. Foolproof means they've selected barrels and bottled them at the proof that preserves the whiskey's full character without cutting it down with water. In this case, 125 proof. So the higher proof typically will mean more intensity. And because it's bottled at that higher proof than the standard Saz Rye, the flavors are probably more concentrated. I don't have it yet. I haven't got my hands on it yet. For $40, it'll be here on my shelf just the minute I see it. I'm headed to Kentucky here in a couple weeks. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing by the distillery. Got to talk to the wife about that, see if it fits into our schedule. Hoping maybe that's one day that they drop the foolproof or have it available in the gift shop. Anyway, so you should taste with the higher proof, there should be more intensity and flavor in there. You know, the spice, the oak, the citrus, all that good stuff that you typically get with Saz. Now, full proof is often slightly lower than cask strength, and cask strength can vary barrel to barrel, but full proof is a consistent proof across the release. Everything's going to be 125, and they found that that's just the sweet spot for this Saz Rye offering. So basically, full proof is a high proof, richer version of the standard Saz Rye, and it's designed to showcase the whiskey's flavor without watering it down. And now on to news from our good friends at Michter's. But before I get into that, I need to give a full-on tongue lashing to our good friends at Michter's. Yeah, seriously, are you guys kidding me? Look around. The guys at Michter's, all right. Read the room. Read the damn room, right? Look around. We got a whiskey glut. Stock prices are tanking, right? Brown-Forman, MGP, I talk about them. I always update you guys on that. The warehouses are overflowing right now. And what do you guys do? You drop another insanely expensive, ultra-limited bourbon like it's nothing. Guys, this is absurd. This is insulting. Yeah. Okay, I said it. They don't care. I know they don't care. So Michter's 20-year-old bourbon is back for 2025, and it's just in time for the holidays. And now instead of buying gifts for the kids and something special for the wife, you can get a payday loan and head on down to Kentucky and pick up this ridiculous bottle of whiskey. But good news, guys, it's bottled at 114.2 proof, which is cask strength. And even more good news. Yeah, okay, there's no more good news about it. It'll set you back $1,200 US American dollars and probably at least another $10,000 to retain a divorce attorney when the wife finds out you spent the car payments on a bottle of bourbon. They say this bottle has been carefully aged in climate-controlled warehouses, so each sip hits silky, complex, and balanced. And that's if you can actually find a bottle. They say you'll get butterscotch, fudge, honey, tobacco, leather, and cherry, all wrapped in a beautifully longed finish. So past releases only saw about $500 to $700 bottles, and unless you're willing to fight every bourbon freak in the country, your chances are slim that you'll ever get your hands on this one. Now, I guess if you want to see what 20 years of bourbon craftsmanship tastes like, alone in your new studio apartment with a cat, the one she didn't want, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for Michter's 20 years straight bourbon whiskey. Am I cranky today? I don't think so. I'm not trying to be cranky, but damn, it's hard when we have to report shit like this. Jesus, Michters, what the hell? Okay, mixing things up again here on this episode, guys, and I think that's about enough whiskey news for me today, especially after Michters and their shenanigans there. Let me hit you with the responses I got. Let me share what y'all said when I asked this very question a few weeks back. And I posted this to socials and I asked y'all, is it time to retire Booker's bourbon? And y'all, you'd think I asked y'all about the Epstein files or said the word Trump.
How dare you?
No, seriously, guys. I mean, it got crazy. Y'all were pretty freaking wound up. So gather around the old pot still for a minute because I'm going to break down all the reactions. Let's start with the folks who said, yeah, let's retire it. And these people didn't sugarcoat a damn thing. And y'all are folks after my own heart. Dude named Ronald said, he said the last 2 bottles of Booker's I bought were so rough I had to choke them down just to make room on my shelf for something better. Then Matthew, he popped in and said 2024-03, and I looked that up, that was Master Distiller's batch. He said that one tasted like a mouthful of boiled peanuts on a really hot day. Okay, fair enough. And before I could even process his comment, Nathan comes in saying his batch tasted like hot peanut juice. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, I guess that's one way to stand out in the market. Doesn't mean it's good, but it's something. Now, that being said, some of y'all didn't want to retire it. You just want to fix it. You want to tinker with it. You guys are like the handy people, like the Tim the Tool Man of whiskey, right? Let's grab a wrench and let's figure it out. Dude named Jeffrey said, don't retire Booker's, just revamp it. He said he wants older age statements, higher proof. I don't know how much higher we can get there, brother. Toasted barrels, finishes of all kinds, and fun stuff. Okay. Some guy named Caleb said it's sitting on shelves collecting dust, and if a premium bourbon is collecting dust, that tells you something. That means it ain't landing right with the whiskey freaks, and I agree. And then, of course, we had the loyalists. Y'all were the purists in the group, and I respect that. Y'all are people who would defend Booker's like it's their firstborn child, and you did. Bob came in with the whole family history thing. He said, this is the beam and no legacy, and retiring it would feel like disrespect. Then some old boy named Bobby came in, and he turned the dial past 10. He's talking about giving it back to the family to protect it, and he's ready to defend Booker's damn near to the death, it seems. One guy told me retiring Booker's would be an attack on the American spirit. Okay, my dude, please go outside and touch some grass. You gotta get out more, dude. And then we got Jeffrey, God bless him. He just rolled right in and said, I hate Booker's. That's it. Nothing else. He just said, I hate Booker's. Okay. Love that blunt attitude. And when I listen to all your comments, what that tells me is everybody's got a different relationship with Booker's. And some folks say the flavors have dipped over time. And some people say the batches are all over the place. Some say it needs a tune-up, right? Those are the Tim the Tool Man guys. Some say leave it the hell alone. Then there are people like me. I say ship it off to a retirement home so it can flirt with the nurses and complain about the thermostat. That's just my take, guys. Now, if you're wondering where the crowd, of all the commenters, of all the vocal whiskey freaks that talked about this particular subject, landed on this whole Booker's question, here's the quick breakdown. About half the folks who commented said, just keep it right where it is. They like it. They respect the legacy, and they do not want to see it go anywhere. Another chunk of folks, about a quarter of y'all, said it doesn't need to be retired. It just needs to be tuned up. And then you had the retirement crew. They were the smallest group, maybe just under a quarter, but they were the loudest by far, and they came in swinging with boiled peanuts and hot peanut juice and all the things, right? So the vast majority of y'all, they want Bookers to stick around, and a good number say fix it. Smaller but passionate crowd say it's time to put it out to pasture. And that brings me to the latest, the most recent release of Bookers that just came out the other day, and it's called Pipes to Nowhere or Pipe Dream or, hang on a second, let me, just bear with me here. It's called, the good folks at Jim Beam have named the newest release, and this is coming out very soon. Jerry's batch is out now. This one's coming out within a few days, I think. Phantom Pipes. Guys, this is crazy. They are totally, this is just more ammunition for my argument here. They are grasping for straws at Jim Beam. They've named this newest release, Phantom Pipes, after a bunch of pipes in a warehouse or part of the distillery or something that lead to nowhere. Does that really honor Booker No? This just lends credence to my argument that Booker's has run its course. If you're naming our big, bold, badass whiskey that honors longtime beloved master distiller, the epic, the amazing Booker No, after a bunch of random pipes that lead to nowhere, can't we do better than this? And all that brings me to today. In this brand spanking new bottle of Booker's in the fancy wooden box. And I have the bottle right here in my hot little hands. I'm going to give Booker's one more shot. No pun intended, guys. I want to give it another shot to prove that it's still got some gumption left in it. That it's not just the same old thing plus or minus a couple proof points that they taunt us with 4 times a year. Now, I couldn't get my hands on the Pipe Dream Bookers, the pipes that lead to nowhere. I don't actually think it's out yet. I think they just put the press release out a few days ago talking about the amazing Pipe Dreams. But I did get the last release that we all know as Jerry's batch, which is 2025-03, and it came out in September. So let me give you 2 minutes about Jerry's batch, and then we'll taste it. Now, this is the third release of the Booker's Bourbon 2025 collection. It's 2025-03, Jerry's batch. This batch is very special, at least it's special to the Jim Beam Company, and it's named after Jerry Dalton. And what's special about Jerry Dalton? Well, probably a lot of things, but the most special thing is he's the only master distiller they've ever had at Beam. Now, think about that. Beam's been around for over 100 years now, right? Was it 200 years? Jesus, they've been around a long time. The only master distiller that hasn't been family is Jerry Dalton. Fred No says, while he isn't Beam by blood, he might as well be. Jerry made one hell of an impact on our distilling process and on me in particular, and for that, I'll always be grateful. This is just another one of those stories that you love to hear, the history, the legacy, guys. It's just an awesome story. They say Booker and Fred No first crossed paths with Dalton when he moved into the house just behind theirs and started working as a chemist at a local distillery. Now, over time, Dalton and Booker became friends, and eventually Dalton joined the Jim Beam Company. When Booker retired, Dalton took the reins as master distiller for a couple years, holding things steady until Fred was ready to step into that role. And like I said, he is the only master distiller to run Jim Beam that's not Beam blood. So it's quite an honor for this whiskey to be made in his name. So, guys, I love that. Beam, the family, the tradition. This just proves it even more. This is a meaningful release here. It's not about random pipes in a warehouse or something. So here are the deets on this Jerry's batch. And you better hold on to your glass, guys, because this is a lot. It's bottled at 124.7 proof. It's got an SRP, a manufactured suggested retail price of $99.99. But guess what? I picked this one up at Sam's Club for the low price of $81.13. That is not a joke, guys. And here's a fun fact or a hack. Is that what the cool kids call it now? A hack? I don't know. There's a metal cage at the front of every Sam's Club store. And it's right across from the checkout lanes at ours. And I think if I remember correctly, it's across from the checkouts at every Sam's Club. And they used to, you remember that, where they used to actually check you out and like scan your stuff? Yeah, before we got hired to do it. Yeah. So it's right across from the registers. And in that cage, and this cage is like 25 feet long and like 7 feet tall. Inside that cage, you can find electronics and other valuable stuff they're compelled to hide behind a cage. And guess what else you can see in there? That's right. You can see liquor. Now, I'm not sure why they put Booker's behind lock and key. I mean, there were other equally expensive bottles out on the shelves on the floor. So I asked an associate because I wanted to know, and I'm an old guy that asks these kind of annoying questions. She said it's because folks have a propensity to steal the Bookers. I don't know how you get a big wooden box in your pants like that, but I asked her, and she said you'd be surprised how they do that. Anyway, there were a couple bottles of Booker's behind the cage, all of them 2025-03 Jerry's batch. I scooped one up, and after I finally found somebody to unlock the cage, that was the hard part. So word to the wise, go up to the cage at Sam's Club, just poke around in there, peek in there. I know right now our Sam's Club has Woodford Sweet Oak, the 700 milliliter bottle. I think it's $150. I'm not interested in paying $150 for that. I left it behind the cage. But anyway, check out the cage at your Sam's Club if you have a membership. You never know what might be in there. Okay, so Jerry's Batch is comprised from 9 different warehouses and all different floors. It's very complicated.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That is exactly right. So suffice it to say, lots of warehouses, lots of floors, very complex. We get it. We get it, Bookers. We get it. So I'm going to crack this baby open. It does come in the typical wooden box that we've all come accustomed to. Again, the same old. It's a beautiful wooden box with the acrylic slider on the front. Very nice, very nice. Makes it look very expensive. Great for a gift for somebody. God, it's got this wax on here. You got to peel off. You got to peel it around the stopper. And I love that because you know it's not been tampered with and it looks fancy. But sometimes this wax can flake off onto the floor. Lucky this time, no wax. All good. My Rumby is safe today. He does not have any work to do. We're off to a terrific start here. Let me pour some of this into my glass. Okay. Again, I run through the same deets every time. The company is James Beam Distilling. The distillery is Jim Beam in Claremont, Kentucky. The bottle, this is the typical Booker's bottle, shape and design and all that, and it looks fancier than fancy can be. And all of that in a wooden box for $81.13. Its age. Okay, and this, again, goes along with what I've been saying all along. And I love consistency. I think that there's something to be said for consistency. I think we all can appreciate that. This one is 7 years, 4 months, and 21 days. And I love transparency. I've done some reviews recently on a few things that weren't as transparent as I would have liked them to be. Still some great bourbons. I can specifically think about Washington Distilling's Triple Oak and Cock of the Walk, although I did get a lot of details from Kyle Lloyd once we spoke on the phone. But I appreciate the transparency from Beam and the consistency. Again, 7 years, 4 months, 21 days. You can't get any more details than that, right? And the mash bill. There is no guessing game about the mash bill. It's typical. And I think that's the word of the day, guys. Typical. It's typical Jim Beam mash, which is 75 corn, 13 rye, and 12% malted barley. Now today I'm tasting with a Glencairn, my new favorite St. Louis Bourbon Society Glencairn. And let's talk a little, I've got it in my glass now, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the color. I've got the lights turned up as high as they'll go down here in the bunker. And so I've got a really good look here at the liquid. And I always mention this. Okay, before I talk about color, because I'm going to forget this, get your notebook out. This is important. You've got to make notes when you taste. So get a notebook, even if it's, and I've got several notebooks, but the one I really like is small, it's compact. I got it from a tasting, I don't know how many years ago at Heaven Hill. Write down the name, the date, the palate, the nose, all the notes you're getting, all the deets, and that way you can refer back to it months or years later. I have found that, like we did a barrel pick at my bourbon club years ago. I wasn't actually directly involved, but I did buy the bottle from the pick. It was a George Ramus, and I loved it. I finished that bottle in, I don't know, faster than I should have finished that bottle. And I went back and I bought another bottle. And I swear to God, I didn't open that second bottle for about a year. And when I did, I didn't love it anymore. I don't know why. I don't remember. I'd have to look at my notes, right? All I'm telling you is write down your tasting notes, what you ate that day, all the things, and then you can go back and you can compare notes later. It's fascinating stuff, guys, how your palate grows or changes or morphs or transforms, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, back to the color. And I always say this, never judge the color by inside the bottle alone. And that's really important, especially when you're looking at Booker's. It's in a box, it's in a wooden box, and it's in this bottle that, although you're thinking, oh, I can see a lot of the liquid, it looks way darker in the bottle than it does in your glass. Now, this is just my opinion. I believe the darker the hue of the whiskey in your glass, the deeper the flavors are going to be. And it's not always true, but it is sometimes, and it really, honestly, it is most of the time. I'm going to mention it every single time, and I mentioned it here today too. Now, the color of this whiskey is, like I said, I think the word of the day today is going to be typical. It's a typical Booker's color, like a deep, dark amber. It looks, and they all look rich and inviting. That's normal for Booker's. This is no exception here. I mean, with the age here, the 7 years and the proof point 124.7, you're gonna get this color. It's like, drink me, baby. I am delicious. Okay, maybe that's just my whiskey talking to me. Anyway, on to the nose. Caramel, lots of caramel in here. They're loving that. There's a good bit of vanilla in here too. Brown sugar. And there's just a tinge here of cinnamon. Nothing here blowing me away, guys. Nothing unusual. Maybe a light oakiness in here too. I mean, all the usual suspects here for a Booker's release, really. It's like I said, based on the color, the nose, it's very inviting at this point. And I got to talk about the ethanol, the alcohol on the nose. You would think at 124.7 that the alcohol would be wafting out of this glass, and it's not. I cannot get over how tame this is on the nose as it relates to the ethanol. So, on to the tasting. I'm doing the Kentucky Chew, brought to us by Booker No. Wow, it is hot. I am really getting a tingling on my tongue. That alcohol or the ethanol that I wasn't getting on the nose, well, it's all hitting on all cylinders here on my first sip, guys. It's not overwhelming, but buddy, you know it's there. I haven't gotten to the tasting notes yet, but it's a balanced sip right now so far. Although that is bringing a lot of heat, the sweetness and all the tasting notes, everything is balanced really well. It's very brown sugary. I'm digging the brown sugary notes here. It's like a thick, viscous caramel. It's delightful, actually, as far as that goes. Let me get another sip. Okay, Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little bit of that cinnamon now for sure. Definitely a good bit of cinnamon in here. And I'm getting like a sweet oak. Like I've described this before, like there's a sharp oak, like rough hewn lumber or something. This is a sweet, gentle, delicious oak, which is fantastic. Let me get another sip. Okay, this is my favorite note here, guys. Tobacco. Getting this really nice tobacco note here as well. Loving that. Let me get one more quick sip. Okay, the finish. It is a long, hot finish. And I mean, 124.7, right? So it's kind of hot by design. And it is hot. But it's not overpoweringly hot. And I think it actually is, God, I hate to use this word, smoother and I'm just talking about the alcohol or the ethanol burn, right? It's smoother than the last few batches, like By the Pond and Jimmy's batch. I believe that. And again, I'm not going to go grab them off the shelf to compare right now because I've got a limited time to record today. But I really believe this is a gentler, we'll call it gentler, right? It's hitting hard. Like I said, it's got lots of pop, but at the same time, it's more gentle than the last couple releases, in my opinion. Now, I should mention the mouthfeel is super creamy, and I love that. But shit, this thing is bringing the heat right along with it. So look out for that. Again, Booker's is not for everyone. It's at over 120 proof. I think every release is going to be in a high proof point. It's not for everyone. And there was a time it wasn't for me. Years ago, just wasn't my thing. That proof point I just found it unapproachable. Now, not everyone is delightful, but many of them are. And it's not gonna be for everybody. So what's my verdict today? Well, I'll have the answer right after I tell you about my new book. Yeah, I've got a new book. Yeah, it's true. It's called Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. And no, it's not just one story. It's dozens of stories, actually over 40 stories. Weird, wild, historical truths. Some of it may be true, some of it absolutely true, some of it ridiculous. Look, I spent way too many hours researching, writing, rewriting, arguing with myself about it. And yes, a questionable amount of bourbon was consumed in that process. Inside this magical little Kindle book, which, by the way, is available right now on Amazon, you'll find bourbon truths, folklore, stories about outlaw distillers, shady marketing schemes, whiskey-fueled inventions, and the kind of whiskey facts that sound made up because some of them just might be. Guys, I pulled this stuff from the weirdest corners of whiskey history. And the coolest part is, each chapter in the book ends with one simple question. Is it whiskey wisdom or is it BS? And you get to be the judge. Now, personally, I think it's best enjoyed with the pour you're about to keep or collect. Either way, there's no judgment here, kids. Just stories, sips, and a whole lot of whiskey-fueled fun. And the best part is, it's cheap. Yeah, I figure, why charge a ridiculous amount for it, right? This book's been a labor of love for me, and I had a blast cranking this thing out. But don't get me wrong. There were plenty of gnashing of teeth, there were headaches, and even a good amount of laughs putting this book together, too. Anyway, go grab a copy. It's on Kindle over at Amazon.com. You'll find the link in the show notes, as always, or just search my name on Amazon, John Stark, S-T-A-R-C-K. Spell that right. Or you can search by the book title, Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. Guys, it's just $10. That's it. For the price of one bad pour at an airport bar or a whole crappy bottle of Benchmark Old No. 8, which you'll get absolutely zero enjoyment out of, you get a whole damn book full of whiskey chaos. It's my kind of chaos, guys. And hey, if you grab a copy today, there's a chance my wife won't leave me, and I might just get to keep making more podcast episodes for all y'all whiskey freaks. It's a win-win, right? Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel strength legends, lies, and untold tales. Operators are standing by. The operators are not standing by, but Amazon will take your money. And no, I forgot to say, you can read the book on your Kindle device, and there are other ways to read it without a Kindle. I get so many messages from friends, family, and listeners. Oh, I don't have a Kindle. You don't have to have a Kindle. You don't need a Kindle. Let me say that one more time. You can download the Kindle app. It's free off the internet. Al Gore's amazing internet. It's in the Google Play Store. It's in the Apple Store. And once you download the Kindle app, it works on iPhone, iPad, Android phones, tablets, Google devices, or if you have a computer, you can read it on your computer from Amazon. Anyway, log in with your Amazon account, and then boom, your book is going to be right there. Well, it'll be there after you pay for it anyway. So you've got options. There are no excuses, whiskey freaks. Do it now. But seriously, guys, it means a lot to me. And if you do snag the book, here's what I need you to do. I need you to plop down on the patio, light up a cigar, or don't. I'm not your mom. Pour yourself something good. Have a few laughs along the way. And hey, who knows? You might, I said you might, even learn something. That's Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, barrel strength legends, lies, and untold tales. And I know it's annoying when dudes do this all, they seem like they just keep hawking and talking and go on and on about their new book. It's aggravating. So in order to avoid this aggravation, just buy the book. Easy peasy, guys. Thanks. So on Blind Tasting Podcast, there are 3 possible verdicts. Are we going to keep it? Are we going to collect it? Or are we going to cull it? Now, to keep it means to proudly display it in your liquor cabinet or bar. This stuff's good for a pour anytime, but there's really no need to stock up on it since it's always available. Collect it. Grab another bottle or maybe 2 since it's so damn delicious, or you may just not be able to get your hands on it very often. And lastly, cull it. Use it to loosen rusty bolts or sanitize a dirty toilet. In the case of Booker's Jerry's Batch, I say, keep it. Yeah, keep it. There's no reason to rush out and grab it because clearly even Sam's Club's got it cheaper than what's MSRP, right? I mean, we've been paying $100 for this stuff for years now. It's not necessary to rush out and grab it. Although I would encourage you to go and get a bottle, especially if you can get it for $81.13 like I did. Not trying to brag, that's just what happened. It's got all the things you'd expect, guys, from a release of Booker's. Everything is in here. You heard me. The tinge of cinnamon, the beautiful caramel. And this is a beautiful caramel and the brown sugar, that just a little bit of oakiness in there. And god damn, the tobacco was my favorite note in here. Love that. Normally, your older whiskeys are going to get you that note, at least what my experience. Again, I'm not a pro here, guys. This isn't my job. This is just kind of a passion. It's kind of something I enjoy. So again, I'm learning too. And in my experience, my journey here, I find that tobacco note is in a little bit older stuff. So I find that fascinating, and I'm really thankful that it's in here. One thing I want to do, though, real quick here, like I said, keep it. Definitely go buy it. Booker's Jerry's Batch. It's very good, and I think it's probably better than, in my opinion, better than By the Pond or even Jimmy's Batch, sadly or not sadly. But I want to talk about real quick, and I want to just try to explain more about why I think, even though this is a delicious offering of Booker's, why it's pretty much the same thing we've been getting for years. And I want to tell you, I want to run through the last few batches, the last few standard releases of Booker's. So here are a few of the last standard batch releases of Booker's Bourbon with their age and proof points. And I'm not going to give you every single one of them, but I just want to give you a sampling of the last few that have come out. This is Jerry's Batch, 7 years, 4 months, 21 days at 124.7 proof. By the Pond was 7 years, right? 7 years, 9 months, 19 days, 125.8 proof. Almost the same, right? Barry's Batch was 7 years, 2 months, 4 days, 125.7. We're only We're 0.1 proof points off, and we're 7 months different in age, right? Jimmy's batch, 7 years, 9 months, 125.8. Master Distiller's batch, 7 years, 8 months, 130 proof. That was a little higher proof. The Beam House batch, that was 2024-02. I'm boring you, I know, but I'm proving my point here. Everything is somewhere 7 years, something months, and something days at 120 something proof. Every single one. I'm scrolling back to 3 years ago, 7 years, 1 month, 2 days, 125.5 proof. Are y'all seeing a trend here, guys? We got the same ages, almost exactly the same proof points, the same tasting notes most of the time. And don't misunderstand me here, guys. I love Bookers. I've got a rack full of them on my shelf over here. And like a sheeple, I'll probably keep buying it and tasting it here on the pod. But I'm just saying, it's so similar. It's okay. I don't often care what other people think. In case, actually, I never care what other people think. But every once in a while, I look around to see, what are folks saying about this or about that? I mean, I am a curious beast. I like to fact check. I guess I'm a fact checker, so to speak. All of that, right? So I looked over at what our good friends at, and you guys probably are familiar with this website, where they're always breaking news and facts and tasting notes about whiskey. You guys know what I mean. So I wanted to see, am I completely off base here? Have I lost my damn mind? Because clearly some of y'all think I have. And these are some of the words or phrases that these cats over there where they're breaking news about bourbon, this is some of the words they use to describe Booker's 2025-03 Jerry's Batch. They say things like, Jerry's Batch is on point for the brand, delivering a familiar, straightforward flavor profile. Let me interpret that. Boring and predictable. They also say, Booker's Bourbon 2025-03 Jerry's Batch is on point, delivering a solid bourbon that meets the typical level of quality expected from the brand. Let me translate that for you. Typical level. That means same, similar, about the same. Look, Booker's used to be that big, bold bottle that set the tone. It was the heavyweight, right? Remember that? Remember back when Booker's was that really high-powered, high-proof whiskey, right? The original, damn, that's good type of pour. Remember that? But bourbon's changed. The whole landscape of whiskey has changed now. Knob Creek, Baker's, Old Forester, Wild Turkey, all these brands are putting out great bottles for way less money. So it's fair to ask the question, I think. Does Booker's still taste like a $100 bourbon? Or are we holding on to it because of the name on the label, Booker No, all the nostalgia of Booker and all the things that goes along with his amazing legacy in the whiskey world? And look, you've heard my take, but I really do appreciate every one of y'all who jumped in. The disagreements, the passion, the humor, some of it was annoying, but the hot peanut juice crowd, all of y'all. And that's what makes this fun. We ain't just drinking whiskey. We're talking about what it means to us. And that's cool to me. I've explained what a whiskey freak is. That's part of being a whiskey freak. So whether you're on Team Retire or Team Revamp or Team Leave Booker's the hell alone because it's sacred, I love all y'all for showing up and talking about it with me. And that's the whole point of this podcast. We taste, we argue, we laugh. At the end of the day, we're just a bunch of whiskey freaks having a good time. In my not so humble opinion, I say, if you want to honor a legend, you don't keep pumping out the same thing over and over while everything else passes it by. You create something new, something bold, something that says, we learned from Booker, and now we're taking it further. We're taking it to the next level. Keeping things the same just for the sake of keeping things the same, that's crazy. And naming bourbon after pipes that lead nowhere in a warehouse or a distillery is crazy talk. And guys, it's okay to ask these types of questions. Listen, I'll allow it. here, this is a no judgment. Okay, it's not a no judgment zone, but it's a safe space. Look, I may not get the big interview. Like, you remember our guy? I've told you about him. The one that kind of yells, "Hey, everything's bourbon and this." This guy kisses everybody's ass just to get him on his show, right? On his bourbon podcast, right? And he gets them all on there. I mean, power to him. Good for him. Like I said, me and him might be friends one day. But if you listen, there are no tough questions. There are very few questions, actually. There's no thoughtfulness. It's just all ass kissing. And I believe asking the tough questions helps root out facts and truths that are going to make bourbon better for all of us, both now and in the future. And if you don't ever get the truth from folks, okay, here's a scenario. And you all know this guy at work, right? We all know this guy. If you always kiss the boss's ass and you never tell him he's making a mistake, or maybe he's leading you down the wrong path, right? How can the boss lead the company in the right way if everybody's just kissing his ass 24/7, right? And it's the same thing here. If nobody ever says the things that need to be said, how can these master distillers ever tweak, like honestly tweak what they're doing? Look, I told the man in charge at a distillery recently that I thought his label looked like a fourth grader did it with crayons. You know why I said that? Because it does, but also because I want him to be successful and make it something more eye-catching so he can sell more whiskey. He's putting together great whiskey there, but folks aren't grabbing it because the damn label looks goofy. And you can say that's rude or that's disrespectful. I call it what you will. I call it being honest so the cats who serve up all this bourbon for us can be around for years and years to come. So back to Booker's. This is where I land. Retire Booker's with respect. Give it a good send-off. Then let the next great idea carry that no family spirit into the future. I had some guy ask me, I'm not going to say his name. It was in the same thread that we were talking about retiring Booker's. I didn't mention this to y'all earlier in the episode. He said, "Do you really think Jim Beam or Fred No gives a shit about what you think about Booker's?" And my answer to that question is this: they should. If you enjoyed my deep thoughts today, guys, and this straight up talk about the things we all love, bourbon and whiskey, do the thing. Subscribe on Apple, on the YouTube, on the Spotify, wherever you grab your podcast. Guys, you don't want to miss a single drop of hot whiskey news, so just hit that button.
Do it!
And seriously, guys, thanks for letting me ask the tough questions today while I get to sip on some killer bourbon today and maybe even rant a little. I apologize if I was a little cranky today. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to have some whiskey. I'll feel better here in just a few minutes. And I want to give a special thanks to y'all who consistently listen. I recognize, guys, there are over 4 million podcasts out there in the world, and you chose this one today. So thank you. And last but not least, I got to give a shout out. Always give a shout out to the farmers, the distillery production guys and gals, the warehouse workers, the bottlers, and the truck drivers. They're the ones that really make it happen, guys. So cheers to all of them. Well, that's all I got for today, Whiskey Freaks. Thanks for listening to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your #1 attitudinal bourbon destination.